A red-eye flight from Brazil had been arranged within an hour of taking the call. Chris had ushered the women out of the room, packed his things, and even arranged for a private fitting of the suit he currently wore in one of the VIP lounges in the private terminal of the Leonardo da Vinci International Airport in Rome. Sometimes it didn't suck to be a member of one of the world's richest royal families. The layover had been long enough to get fitted with the black silk suit and to pick up the 2 caskets currently being unloaded from the private jet. Draped in the state flag of Callanos and the standard with the Lytton family coat of arms, the dark mahogany boxes containing the bodies of his older brother and his sister-in-law were accompanied by a dozen men from the royal guard. The procession was slow and somber as they were escorted to the matching black hearses on the airport tarmac. Nick watched, dry-eyed and numb, with the shock of all that had occurred in the last 12 hours since his mother called with the terrible news. The machine of the monarchy had jumped into gear, and he followed along, not so much led by conscious thought, but by a lifetime of force-fed tradition. It was that tradition that had the fully uniformed honor guard standing at attention as his brother's casket was eased inside the back of the waiting vehicle. The loud stomp of their boots against the hard surface of the road was in unison, in perfect step, as they marched into formation and lowered the flag and their weapons in a grave salute. The crack of rifles firing, once, twice, 3 times, made him jump a little bit, even though he knew they were coming. But he was prepared when the lead guard shouted and the entire group repeated in unison, "God save the king!" Nick watched, stoic and silent, as they turned and marched into perfect formation to face him. Once again, the weapons and the flag lowered as they snapped into perfect position and executed perfect salutes at the same time as another rifle blast rent the silence in 2. And then for the first time, Nick heard the words he did not want. Words that fell down around him like the avalanche he'd barely survived a year ago on a slope in India. The words were sharp with their finality, sealing his future and his fate as they were directed at him. Long live the king. Chapter 1. 6 months later. He would give his kingdom for a mountain and a few hours to climb. Crown Prince Nicholas Alastair Malcolm Lytton of Callanos stared out through the window in the palace's council room, wondering how he could feel trapped when everything he looked at belonged to him. In 6 weeks, he would be crowned king, and he wondered when he was going to wish he would wake up from this bizarre dream. He'd love to know when he was going to stop looking for his brother Alec to step in and take over. He was the spare to the heir, the one who would never be king, until a storm took down the plane carrying his brother and his sister-in-law 6 months ago, and everything Nicholas knew had been turned upside down. He swallowed down the desire to open the floor-to-ceiling windows and escape. His morning run felt like it was decades ago instead of mere hours. Keeping up with his usual training routine was impossible at the moment, but he'd made a point to rise early to ensure he got his time under the sunrise, relishing the wind on his skin, the burn in his muscles, and the thrum of his pulse under his skin. It had been helpful, but not quite the balm he sought for the bumps and bruises to his heart, not like it used to be. But this morning had been different. His silent, solitary running partner appeared out of the fog, straining and striving alongside him. Dark hair, feet pounding on the path at his side, and finally the hint of a smile. Maybe if they wrapped it up quickly, he could take a walk and find her. The moment of her smile was the first time since that knock on his hotel room door that he'd felt remotely like himself. That maybe he had some aspect of his life that wasn't dictated by tradition, custom, and duty. His interest was visceral.